The HOA didn't just warn him. They tried to erase him, and when they banned his truck from their road, they thought he'd crawl away quietly. But this video will reveal the shocking twist that made them go completely silent. Ethan Miller had lived on the edge of Pine Hollow for 3 years, running a small repair business from his barn. His old pickup wasn't pretty, but it paid his bills, carried his tools, and kept his dream alive. One sunny morning, he found a bright orange notice taped to his windshield: community violation, commercial vehicle banned. He stared at it like it was a joke. Then he saw the second paper: access restricted. HOA road use terminated. That road was the only path to his property. Without it, no customers, no deliveries, no income. At the neighborhood gate, a new sign had appeared: private road, HOA members only. Standing near it was Karen Whitmore, the HOA president, smiling like she'd won. Ethan asked calmly, "Since when is this your road?" Karen's voice was sweet but sharp. "Since always. And you're not welcome anymore." Ethan drove back slowly, heart pounding, because he knew something didn't add up. Ethan didn't panic that day. He watched, because when people lie with confidence, they usually leave fingerprints behind. He parked his truck near his barn and walked the fence line, trying to think. The HOA gate blocked the road like a wall, and beyond it sat the clean suburban homes that had popped up in the last 2 years. Pine Hollow had changed fast. Too fast. That evening, Ethan's phone buzzed nonstop. A customer canceled. Then another. Then his supplier asked why the delivery driver got turned away. By sunrise, the damage was real. Ethan stood at the end of the blocked road again, this time with his calm face on. 2 HOA security guards stood beside Karen like props. Karen held a clipboard. "Your truck violates community standards. And you don't have permission to use our road." Ethan kept his voice steady. "My deed shows an easement." Karen laughed lightly. "Old papers don't matter." The HOA updated everything. That sentence hit Ethan like cold water. Updated everything? Back at home, he opened a dusty folder he hadn't touched since buying the land. Maps, survey lines, old county stamps. One page had a bold label: Miller Access Road, owned and maintained by Parcel 17. Parcel 17 was his. Ethan's stomach tightened. If he owned the road, then Karen wasn't just bullying him. She was stealing, and if she was willing to steal a road, what else had the HOA been hiding from everyone? Ethan looked out at the gate again and whispered, "Okay. Let's see how deep this goes." Karen wanted him to feel small, so Ethan decided to get quiet. And get proof, he drove into town and requested public records at the county office. The clerk recognized the address and sighed like she'd seen this movie before. "Pine Hollow HOA?" she asked. "Yeah. They've been busy lately." Ethan waited as she printed documents: road plats, easement agreements, boundary updates. Each page felt heavier than the last. The newest HOA filing claimed the road was community property, but something was wrong. The signature line looked rushed, and the county stamp date didn't match the system record. The clerk leaned closer. "This is strange. This road was never transferred. It's still tied to Parcel 17. Ethan's hands tightened around the papers. "So I still own it?" She nodded. "Unless someone forged a transfer." Outside, the sun felt brighter, but Ethan's chest felt darker. This wasn't just HOA drama. It was a planned takeover. He called a surveyor friend named Miguel, who owed him a favor. Miguel walked the road with equipment and flags, then stopped near the HOA gate. "This marker is original," Miguel said. "The road sits on your landline for most of its length." Ethan stared at the gate like it was sitting in his living room. That night, he didn't sleep. He made copies, highlighted maps, and wrote a timeline. Every detail mattered, because the next step wasn't an argument at the gate. The next step was a moment where Karen would have to face the truth in front of everyone, and Ethan was going to choose the perfect day to do it. The HOA scheduled a community meeting like it was a courtroom. Karen wanted an audience. So Ethan gave her one. The clubhouse was packed. Homeowners sat in rows, whispering, sipping coffee, waiting for drama. Karen stood at the front with a projector screen behind her, wearing a confident smile like she'd already won. She pointed to a slide titled, "Community Road Rules." Then she turned to Ethan. Your truck is an eyesore. It lowers property value. You will comply or be removed. A few people nodded, not because they agreed, but because they feared her. Ethan didn't raise his voice. He simply placed a folder on the table. Before we talk about my truck, we need to talk about your gate. Karen's smile twitched. That gate protects residents. Ethan opened the folder and slid copies across the table. Deed maps. County records. Survey results. The room grew quieter with every page. Karen tried to laugh. Those documents are outdated. Miguel stepped forward with a fresh survey stamp. They're current. The road is on parcel 17. Ethan's parcel. A homeowner in the back stood up. Wait. So we've been paying HOA fees for a road we don't even own? Karen's voice sharpened. Sit down. This is not, Ethan cut in gently, it is exactly that. Karen's face turned stiff. She looked around, searching for support. But people weren't nodding now. They were staring, and then Ethan revealed the one detail that made the entire room freeze. Ethan didn't just prove he owned the road, he proved the HOA knew it all along. He clicked his phone and projected an email onto the screen. It was from the HOA's attorney, dated months earlier. The subject line read, Road Ownership Concern, Parcel 17. The message was clear, the HOA had been warned the road was not theirs. The attorney advised them to negotiate with Ethan, not threaten him. A murmur spread through the room like wind through trees. Karen stepped back. That email is private. Ethan's tone stayed calm. It was forwarded to me by mistake. And it explains why you acted so fast. He flipped to another page, invoices for the gate installation, paid using HOA funds. The gate wasn't security. It was a trap, a woman near the front whispered, so our money was used to block him? Karen tried to regain control. This meeting is over. We'll handle it legally. Ethan nodded. Great. Because I already did. He placed a final document on the table, a formal notice of trespass and an order to remove the gate from his property line. The room went dead silent. One man asked if Ethan owns the road. Then what happens to the HOA's authority out there? Ethan answered softly, it ends. Karen's eyes narrowed, but she couldn't speak. She had built her power on something she didn't own, and now, in front of everyone, the foundation cracked, but Ethan wasn't finished. Because his next move would decide who controlled Pine Hollow forever. The next morning, sunlight hit the gate like a spotlight, and for the first time, Karen looked nervous. Ethan arrived with a small crew, not to cause chaos, but to restore what was his. He carried paperwork in one hand and a toolbox in the other. Miguel stood beside him, and a county inspector waited in a white truck. Karen showed up fast, heels clicking on pavement, voice already raised. You can't touch that gate. The inspector stepped forward. Ma'am, this structure is on private property. It must be removed. Karen's face tightened. This is HOA territory. Ethan pointed to the survey stakes. No. This is my land. My road. And my access. Homeowners gathered at a distance, watching like they'd finally realized they'd been living under a performance. As the bolts came loose, Karen's confidence drained. She wasn't losing a gate. She was losing control. One resident walked up and asked Ethan quietly, why didn't you fight sooner? Ethan's voice softened. Because I wanted the truth to speak louder than anger. When the gate finally lifted, the road opened like a deep breath. Ethan drove his truck through slowly, as if crossing into freedom. Karen stood frozen, speechless, but then she turned, glaring at the crowd, and shouted, you'll regret this. Ethan didn't respond. He didn't need to, because the final twist wasn't just about the road, it was about what Ethan planned to do with it next. Karen expected revenge, but Ethan chose something that hurt her more, fairness. He didn't block the road. He didn't punish the neighbors. Instead, he posted a simple sign at the entrance, Miller Road Private Access. Safe passage for residents only. Then he offered a written agreement. Residents could use the road freely, but the HOA could no longer claim control, collect fees for it, or threaten anyone with it, homeowners signed quickly. Some even apologized to Ethan, admitting they were scared to speak up. Karen tried one last move, sending legal letters and warnings. But without the road, her authority looked empty. Meetings got quieter. Complaints got ignored. The community finally felt like people again. Not rules on paper. Weeks later, Ethan received a message from the county. An investigation had opened into the HOA's filings and spending. The forged transfer attempt, the gate invoice, the hidden email. All of it was now official evidence. Karen stopped showing up in public. Her voice disappeared from the neighborhood like a storm that ran out of rain. Ethan stood on his porch one bright morning, watching his truck roll down the road peacefully, and smiled, not because he won, but because the truth did, and that was the final twist in this unbelievable HOA story. If you love the drama, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. It really helps this channel grow.